as quick as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. I really apologize for keeping you all waiting. There was a small emergency I need to attend to, and I really thank you for giving me the opportunity to present. Be able to find my presentation and run it. Hi. It's sort of connected to the topic, but I'm actually going to talk about specifically M-Health and physicians' productivity. I think Krishna touched upon it a bit, which is really interesting. I want to take a cue from there. And also, a lot of speakers in the day talked about it. How as much money you throw on the physician gap we're talking about in India does not mean the quality of care is going to go up. And there were studies which are presented, and I think Lord Nigel also talked about it, and he showed some numbers on that. I want to talk about first numbers. I don't want to bore you with statistics, but this is something which I just want to put as a base number. Most of our population is in rural areas, and most of our doctors are in the urban areas. So there is a big divide there. We know about that. Now that said, if you just take India as a whole, we are really, really lagging behind on our population to physician, proportions or ratios. We have a shortage of over 600,000 physicians. Just to give you an example, now the technology trends are so much catching up that the role of medical imaging, and I know most of you are doctors here, so you might correct me, the role of medical imaging is becoming huge and huge. So in 1980s, almost 30% of hospitalizations needed to have medical imaging done. Now we're talking about over 60% of hospitalizations requiring medical imaging. Can you hear me okay in the back? Yeah. So now looking at that, what's happening that currently in India we have 100,000 less radiologists. We had only 5,000 radiologists in 1 year, and population is really exploding, believe me. So we do have a big shortage there. Now, over the last few years, we have come up with, and over the last few decades, we've come up with great technology trends or technology initiatives on the telemedicine side. So it created an ecosystem to connect underserved and remote patients to physicians and specialists in the urban area. As well as in the recent years, over the last 2-3 years, M-Health has started playing an immense role in creating that ecosystem and mechanism to empower patients. I want to talk about telemedicine briefly because everybody here is an expert and I'm really new to this area. And I won't be able to tell anything more than this.
Cut down those slides because time is very short.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody knows about telemedicine, so I'm going to skip and talk about
telemedicine, India health scenario, everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. M-Health, where are we going right now? Unfortunately, what happens is when we talk about M-Health, everybody talks about public health. What nobody talks about is what can physician do with M-Health. Today we have public schemes and we have mobile campaigns to impart medical awareness to patients, TB, pregnancy episodes, all of those things are happening. Obviously, owing to the fact that 865 million, mobile phones are out there, subscribers out there. In 2007, I stood here as a speaker next to Bretha Reddy and talked about the same number. And you know what number I said instead of 865 million? I said 200 million. I remember talking about M-Health and I said 200 million. Today it's 865 million. The growth is immense. What's happening is we're focusing on patient education, patient awareness, creating an ecosystem of where the patients are more and more empowered. There are on-call triage technologies are coming in, services are coming in. There are episodic care, remember to do ultrasounds, remember to take your medications, all of those are there. Additionally, there are telemonitoring devices also. Where patients are also getting empowered by public health workers, ASHA workers, who are going out there and entering patient health data on mobile devices and sending over. In Punjab it's happening, in Uttar Pradesh it's happening. But the ratio remains the same. What are we doing to increase the productivity of the physician? Did some research, found out what's happening. First of all, everybody would agree that physician's time is weighed in gold. Physician's time is weighed in gold. It is clearly gold. So how do major organizations around the world, how does Apollo, how does Max, how does Mayo Clinic measure physicians' productivity? Efficiency of time spent for each patient, appropriateness of time spent based on patient's condition, and physicians' motivation based on compensation system. Now, I looked at some health trends around, and we as a company and PHRX do similar type of technologies. And we looked at what is happening recently is there are smartphones technologies are coming in, helping in telemonitoring of patients. There are stethoscopes. Through iPhone and BlackBerry, the voice goes all the way to the patients, through the physician's ears. The technology is being developed right now, which physicians really, really want and are ready to use. There are CT scans and MRs and echoes, which we are delivering to physicians all across India as well as US, where they have access on their BlackBerry torch, iPhone, everywhere, all their diagnostics of the patients in the ICU or wherever it is. I'm collaborating with the patient, I'm collaborating with the physician. Okay, what are technology trends which are helping us? Obviously, everybody knows smartphones and tablets are coming in, the 3G connectivity is coming in. We've got technology trends in medical sciences, which is helping us immensely. We're vitals, which are going through mobiles, sharing of heavy images and diagnostics, app ecosystems. So Apple, BlackBerry, RIM, Android, everybody's helping mobile developers to create productivity applications for the physician, so that the physician in himself feels empowered that I can treat the patient better. I have two more slides I'll talk about. One is what are the essentials and challenges right now? What are essentials and challenges right now? Physicians' adoption and training is immense. 5 years from now, nobody would know what is a smartphone versus a normal phone. Everybody will be carrying a smartphone. 10 years from now, they'll be carrying a foldable tablet and a phone. Everybody is going to adopt mobile technologies. Government-sponsored initiative, this is where the third item which I talked about, physician productivity, comes in. Because what is the incentive the physician has to see that 742 extra patients? You remember that ratio, 1,000, 1:1,000 versus 1:742? What is the incentive the physician is getting to see that? And if they get incentives because they're using these technologies to actually see patients, they're going to be more and more motivated. Lastly, what are the outcomes we can be looking at? And we're talking about saving minutes and hours in certain cases of accessing patients' data and images and diagnostics. Reducing turnaround time for trauma cases and specialty cases. And I have a case, in my last slide I'll talk about that. And arming the physician with the data, the right data which they need to do clinical decision making wherever they are. So it's not at the point of care, as a point of decision making. The physician could be anywhere in his bed, on the way to work, from the way to work, on the golf course, or anywhere. He has to make a clinical decision because his patient is going through a seizure on his bed in the ICU. And can you empower him with all the data? Not just, sir, uska creatinine 7 ho gaya, ab kya karna hai? No, I want to see what all the details are of this patient. And can I get it on my smartphone? That's where technology is getting to. So this is now the last, so this is actually not the last slide, but this is where I would like to call upon our technology gurus and say, let us start as a technology initiative to build productivity applications, productivity ecosystem for physicians, and this is a global opportunity for us to empower them to actually do more for their patients. And let's rewrite that standard which says, WHO says that 1:1,000 is the right number of, to have between physician and patient. We can prove to the world that in India, with the physician's productivity increased using mobile technologies and other e-health and telemedicine technologies, that 1:70:22 is an acceptable number, and we can provide the best health care to the patient. I'll leave you with this one final example of how powerful mHealth is. This was recently covered in the CTO Forum magazine, where a young patient was brought into trauma due to an accident in the middle of the night. A CT of abdomen was performed. The surgeon said, I'm not going to operate on him because I really need to know what's happening, where the bleeding is. And he couldn't figure out. And the resident who was on staff in radiology couldn't figure out. He wanted a senior radiologist to look at the scan and tell him what's exactly happening. The radiologist was 2 hours away. The patient would have died. The surgeon called the radiologist. He said, okay, I use a technology, which is, our company's app. They can access these images, the CT scan of abdomen directly from my BlackBerry Torch. He accessed it. He told him exactly where the dangerous bleed was. The operation was done within 20 minutes. In the morning at 9 a.m., the surgeon called me to thank me that, yes, your technology really saved a life. And we were in tears for 2 days that, wow, this thing really works. And this is just the power of how smartphones can actually help physicians do better, more for their patients. That's all I have. Thank you.